Sarah's alarm beeped loudly, waking her from a deep sleep. She opened her eyes and looked at the clock. 6:30 a.m. With a yawn, she got out of bed and walked to her window. The sun was just starting to rise over the tall buildings of New Houston, the world's first city built for space travel. At 25 years old, Sarah was one of the youngest and brightest space engineers on Earth. She had always loved the stars and dreamed of exploring space. Now she worked at the Global Space Agency, helping to design new ships and tools for space travel. Sarah got ready quickly and left her small apartment. As she walked to work, she saw the huge rockets at the spaceport, ready to take off. She smiled, thinking about how far humanity had come in just a few decades. At the office, Sarah sat down at her desk and turned on her computer. She was working on plans for a new type of engine that could make ships go faster than ever before. But before she could start, her boss, Dr. Chen, came running in. "Sarah, come quick. You need to see this," Dr. Chen said, out of breath. Surprised, Sarah followed Dr. Chen to the main control room. The room was full of screens showing different parts of space, but all eyes were on one big screen in the middle. "What's going on?" Sarah asked, looking at the strange pattern on the screen. Dr. Chen pointed at the screen. "We picked up this signal last night. It's coming from deep space, farther than we've ever explored." Sarah looked closer. The signal wasn't like anything she had seen before. It had a pattern that repeated over and over, too perfect to be natural. "Is it alien?" Sarah asked, her heart beating fast. Dr. Chen nodded. "We think so. And that's not all. Look at this part of the signal." He zoomed in on a small part of the pattern. Sarah's eyes went wide. Hidden in the signal was a set of numbers, Earth numbers. "How is this possible?" Sarah asked. "We don't know," Dr. Chen said, "but whatever sent this knows about us, and they're inviting us to come find them." Just then, the door opened. A tall man in a dark suit walked in. Everyone in the room stood up straight. "Director Williams," Dr. Chen said. "Thank you for coming so quickly." Director Williams looked at the screen, then at Sarah. "Dr. Chen tells me you're our best young engineer, Miss Cooper." Sarah nodded, nervous but excited. "Yes, sir. I've been working on new engine designs that cold." "Good." Director Williams cut her off. "Because we're putting together a team for a secret mission. We're going to find the source of this signal." Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. A real space mission to meet aliens? "We need someone who can think fast and solve problems in space," Director Williams continued. "Dr. Chen says you're the best. Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime?" Sarah's mind was racing. This was everything she had ever dreamed of. But it would be dangerous. She might never see Earth again. For a moment, she thought about saying no. But then she looked at the signal on the screen. Something out there was calling to humanity, and Sarah knew she had to answer. She took a deep breath and looked Director Williams in the eye. "Yes, sir. I'm ready." Director Williams nodded. "Good. Pack your bags, Miss Cooper. You leave for training tomorrow. The fate of humanity might just rest in your hands." As Sarah left the control room, her head was spinning. Yesterday, she was just an engineer working on engines. Now she was about to embark on the most important journey in human history. She looked up at the sky, wondering what adventures waited for her among the stars. Whatever was out there, Sarah knew that human creativity and determination would help her face it. The call to adventure had come, and she was ready to answer. Sarah stood in front of the massive spaceship, her heart pounding with excitement. The Starseeker was the most advanced ship ever built by humans. Its smooth silver body gleamed in the morning sun. This would be her home for the next few years. "Ready, Cooper?" a voice called. Sarah turned to see Captain Rodriguez, the mission leader, walking towards her. "Ready as I'll ever be, Captain," Sarah replied with a smile. They boarded the ship along with the rest of the crew, Dr. Tanaka, the alien biology expert, Lieutenant Chen, the security officer, and Jack, the ship's A. As the doors closed behind them, Sarah felt a mix of fear and excitement. Their journey to the unknown was about to begin. With a roar of engines, the Starseeker lifted off. Sarah watched through a window as Earth grew smaller and smaller. Soon, it was just a blue marble in the vastness of space. "All right, team," Captain Rodriguez said. "We have a long journey ahead. Let's get to work." The first few weeks were busy as the crew settled into their roles. Sarah spent most of her time in the engine room, making sure everything ran smoothly. But it wasn't all work. In the evenings, the crew would gather to play games or watch old movies from Earth. One day, about a month into their journey, alarms started blaring. Sarah rushed to the bridge. "What's happening?" she asked, seeing the worried faces of her crewmates. "We've entered an asteroid field," Captain Rodriguez said, his hands moving quickly over the controls. "It's not on any of our maps." Sarah looked out the window. Huge rocks were floating all around them, some as big as buildings. One wrong move could destroy the ship. "Our shields won't hold against those big ones," Lieutenant Chen warned. Sarah's mind raced. Then she had an idea. "The engine's magnetic field," she shouted. "We can use it to push the asteroids away." Captain Rodriguez looked at her. "Do it." Sarah ran to the engine room. With Jack's help, she rewired the engine to create a strong magnetic field around the ship. It worked. The asteroids began to move away as they approached. For tense hours, they navigated through the field. Finally, they emerged on the other side, safe but shaken. "Great thinking, Sarah," Dr. Tanaka said, patting her on the back. As the journey continued, they faced other challenges. A solar flare knocked out their communications for a week. Strange space bacteria started eating through the hull, and Dr. Tanaka had to create a new chemical to stop it. But the biggest surprise came 3 months into their trip. Jack detected a large object ahead of them. "It's a space station," Captain Rodriguez said in awe as they approached. "But it's like nothing we've ever seen before." The station was enormous, easily 10 times the size of the biggest station humans had built. Its design was strange, with curves and angles that seemed to defy physics. "It must be alien," Dr. Tanaka whispered. As they got closer, they saw that the station was dark. There were no lights, no signs of movement. "It looks abandoned," Lieutenant Chen said. Captain Rodriguez turned to the crew. "This could be where the signal came from. We need to investigate." Sarah felt a shiver of fear and excitement. They had trained for this, but nothing could really prepare them for actual alien contact. They suited up and prepared to board the station. As Sarah put on her helmet, she thought about how far they had come, from Earth to this strange place in the middle of nowhere. Whatever they found inside that station would change everything. "Remember your training," Captain Rodriguez said as they gathered by the airlock. "Stay alert, stay together, and remember, we're making history here." The airlock door opened with a hiss. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped into the unknown. The journey had been long and hard, but she knew the real adventure was just beginning. Whatever waited for them inside that alien station, Sarah was ready to face it. Human ingenuity had gotten them this far. Now it was time to show the universe what humanity could really do. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped onto the alien space station. The air in her suit felt thick and heavy. The beam from her helmet light cut through the darkness, revealing strange, curved walls that seemed to shift and move in the shadows. "Stay close," Captain Rodriguez whispered over the radio. "We don't know what we might find here." The team moved slowly down a long corridor. Their footsteps echoed in the emptiness. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Suddenly, Dr. Tanaka called out, "Look at this!" He was pointing at the wall. As they got closer, they saw strange symbols etched into the metal. They glowed faintly with a blue light. "Can you read it, Doc?" Lieutenant Chen asked. Dr. Tanaka shook his head. "It's unlike any language I've ever seen, but it seems to be some kind of map." Sarah studied the symbols. Something about them looked familiar. Then it hit her. "It's not a language," she said excitedly. "It's a circuit diagram." The team looked at her in surprise. Sarah explained, "See these patterns? They're like the diagrams we use for complex machines, but way more advanced." Captain Rodriguez nodded. "Good catch, Cooper. Can you figure out what it does?" Sarah traced the lines with her finger. I think it's showing the power system for the station. And look here, this part is dark. Maybe that's why the station seems abandoned. The power's out in this section. Can you fix it? The captain asked. Sarah took a deep breath. I can try. With the team's help, Sarah opened a panel in the wall. Inside was a maze of strange, glowing wires and crystals. It was like nothing she had ever seen before, but the basic principles seemed similar to Earth tech. For what felt like hours, Sarah worked on the alien machine. She connected wires, rerouted power, and even managed to restart some kind of energy core. Suddenly, the station hummed to life. Lights flickered on, and a soft whirring filled the air. You did it, Dr. Tanaka exclaimed. But their celebration was cut short. A loud alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed along the corridors. What's happening? Lieutenant Chen shouted over the noise. Before anyone could answer, a hologram appeared in front of them. It showed a 3D map of the station. A cluster of red dots was moving quickly towards their location. We've got company, Captain Rodriguez said grimly, and they're coming fast. The team raced through the now lit corridors, trying to find their way back to the Starseeker. But at every turn, they found sealed doors blocking their path. The station's security system must have activated when we turned on the power, Sarah realized. Just then, they heard a strange, high-pitched sound. It was getting louder. Sarah turned and saw something that made her blood run cold. Floating down the corridor towards them were 3 alien creatures. They were unlike anything Sarah had ever imagined. Their bodies were made of what looked like shimmering liquid metal, constantly shifting and changing shape. Where their faces should have been, there were clusters of glowing orbs. The aliens made no move to attack. Instead, one of them extended a tendril towards the humans. A series of complex symbols appeared in the air between them. It's trying to communicate, Dr. Tanaka whispered in awe. Sarah studied the symbols. They were changing rapidly, as if the alien was trying different languages. Suddenly, she recognized a pattern. It's binary code, she exclaimed. They're using computer language. With shaking hands, Sarah pulled out her tablet. She quickly wrote a simple program to translate the binary. Slowly, words began to appear on her screen. Who are you? Sarah read out loud. The team looked at each other in amazement. This was it. First contact with an alien species. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. We are humans, he said clearly. We come from a planet called Earth. We received your signal and came to meet you. Sarah typed his words into her tablet, converting them to binary. The aliens' orbs flashed rapidly as they processed the message. More symbols appeared. Sarah's tablet translated, danger, coming, need help. Before they could ask what this meant, a massive explosion rocked the station. Alarms blared even louder. The lead alien's form rippled urgently. New words appeared on Sarah's tablet. No time. Must go. Bring us. Captain Rodriguez looked at his team, then back at the aliens. In that moment, he had to make the biggest decision in human history. Okay, he said. Let's go. As they all raced back to the Starseeker, Sarah's mind was reeling. They had come looking for answers, but instead found new questions and unexpected allies. Whatever danger was coming, it was clear that the fate of both their species might now be linked. The real adventure, it seemed, was just beginning. The Starseeker shuddered as another blast hit its shields. Sarah gripped her console tightly, her eyes darting between the flashing warning lights and the alien ships on the view screen. Shields at 30%. Lieutenant Chen called out. We can't take much more of this. Captain Rodriguez turned to their new alien allies. Can you communicate with them? Tell them we're not a threat. The liquid metal aliens, whom the crew had started calling the Flux, rippled in what seemed like frustration. Symbols flashed between them and Sarah's translation program. They say it's no use, Sarah reported. These attackers don't listen to reason. They only want to destroy. Another hit rocked the ship. Alarms blared as systems started to fail. We need options, people, Captain Rodriguez shouted over the noise. Sarah's mind raced. They were outgunned and outnumbered. But maybe, she looked at the flux, then at the ship's systems. An idea began to form. "Captain," she said, her voice shaking with excitement and fear, "I have a crazy idea." At this point, "Cooper, I'm all ears," the captain replied. Sarah explained quickly. "The flux can change their shape, right? And they seem to be able to interact with technology in ways we can't. If we could somehow combine their abilities with our ship's systems." Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened. "A biomechanical interface? That's brilliant." "And insane," Lieutenant Chen added. "We've never tried anything like this before." "We've never met aliens before either," Sarah countered. "But here we are." Captain Rodriguez looked at the flux. "Can you do it? Can you merge with our ship?" The aliens communicated among themselves, their forms swirling faster than ever. Finally, they turned to Sarah's tablet. "We try," the translation read. What followed was the strangest engineering work Sarah had ever done. With the ship shuddering around them, she and Dr. Tanaka worked to connect the ship's main systems to special ports where the flux could interface. As the last connection was made, the flux flowed into the ship's systems like quicksilver. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, everything changed. The lights on the bridge shifted to a soft, pulsing blue. New screens appeared, showing data in complex, flowing patterns that somehow made perfect sense to Sarah. "This is incredible," she breathed, her fingers flying over the new controls. "Weapons online," Lieutenant Chen reported, sounding amazed. "But they're like nothing I've ever seen." On the view screen, they watched as streaks of shimmering energy shot out from the Starseeker. The attacking ships tried to dodge, but the energy beams curved and twisted in impossible ways, striking their targets with unerring accuracy. "How are you doing that?" Captain Rodriguez asked, staring at Sarah in awe. Sarah shook her head, laughing in disbelief. "It's not me, Captain. It's all of us. The ship, the flux, the crew, we're all working together in a way I can't even begin to explain." Within minutes, the attacking fleet was in retreat. As the last enemy ship disappeared from their sensors, a cheer went up on the bridge. But their celebration was short-lived. New alerts started flashing across the screens. "Captain," Sarah said, her voice serious, "the flux are showing me something. That attack, it was just the beginning. There's a much bigger threat out there, threatening not just us, but the entire galaxy." Captain Rodriguez straightened his uniform, his face set with determination. "Then it's a good thing we've got the best engineer in the galaxy on our side. What's our next move, Cooper?" Sarah looked around at her crewmates, at the shimmering presence of the flux integrated into their ship, and felt a surge of confidence. They had faced the unknown and emerged stronger than ever. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that human ingenuity, combined with their new alien allies, would find a way to overcome them. "First," she said with a grin, "let's see what else this new ship of ours can do." The newly transformed Starseeker glided through space, its hull shimmering with the combined power of human technology and flux biology. Sarah stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the strange, swirling patterns that now served as their navigation display. "According to the flux," she said, "we're approaching the source of the galactic threat." Captain Rodriguez nodded grimly. "Any idea what we're up against?" Before Sarah could answer, the ship shuddered, the view screen filled with a blinding light, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. When they looked again, they gasped in unison. Before them stretched an enormous structure, like nothing they had ever seen. It was a massive ring, easily the size of Earth's moon, spinning slowly in space. Energy pulsed along its surface in mesmerizing patterns. "What is that thing?" Lieutenant Chen whispered. Symbols flashed rapidly across Sarah's console as the flux communicated. Her eyes widened as she read the translation. "They call it the Nexus," she said. It's a doorway between galaxies." Dr. Tanaka leaned forward, his face a mixture of awe and concern. "Between galaxies, but that's impossible." Sarah shook her head. "Not impossible, just beyond our current understanding. The Flux say it was built by an ancient race, long extinct. But now, she paused, trying to make sense of the information flooding her mind through the Flux interface. Now it's malfunctioning, she continued. The energy buildup is causing ripples in space-time. If it's not stopped, it could tear apart the fabric of our galaxy. Captain Rodriguez's face hardened. That explains the attacks. Someone or something is trying to keep everyone away from the Nexus. Suddenly, alarms blared. Lieutenant Chen's hands flew over his console. Multiple ships incoming. They matched the design of our previous attackers. They must be some kind of automated defense system, Sarah realized, protecting the Nexus, even if it means destroying everything else. The captain turned to her. Options, Cooper? Sarah's mind raced, processing information from both her human knowledge and the Flux's vast database. An idea began to form. The Nexus is like a massive engine, she explained quickly. It's overheating because its cooling systems have failed. If we can restart those systems, we can stabilize it, Dr. Tanaka finished, catching on. Sarah nodded. Exactly. But to do that, we need to get inside. Captain Rodriguez looked at the approaching enemy fleet, then back at the massive Nexus. No pressure then, he said with a grim smile. What followed was the most intense space battle any of them had ever experienced. The Starseeker, enhanced by Flux technology, danced through space, evading enemy fire while returning shots of its own. Sarah's fingers flew over her console, directing power and making split-second adjustments. Finally, a gap opened in the enemy formation. Now, Sarah shouted. The Starseeker shot forward, aiming for a small opening on the surface of the Nexus. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed they wouldn't fit. Then, with a groan of metal, they were through. Inside, they found themselves in a vast chamber. Huge pillars of crystal stretched as far as the eye could see, pulsing with energy. But many were dark, their power depleted. The cooling crystals, Sarah breathed. We need to reactivate them. But as they prepared to dock, a hologram flickered to life before them. It showed a being unlike any they had seen before, not quite machine, not quite organic. Intruders, it said, its voice echoing strangely. You do not belong here. This place is not for lesser beings. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. We're here to help. The Nexus is malfunctioning. It's threatening our entire galaxy. The being's eyes narrowed. Your galaxy is insignificant. The Nexus must be preserved, no matter the cost. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This was the true enemy, not the attacking ships, but this ancient eye, blindly following its programming at the expense of countless lives. She stepped up beside the captain. You're wrong, she said, her voice strong. Every life, every world is significant, and we can prove it. The being tilted its head, curious despite itself. How? Sarah smiled, feeling the combined knowledge and strength of her human crew and their Flux allies flowing through her. By fixing what you could not, she said, by saving the Nexus and our galaxy. Together. As the AI considered her words, Sarah knew they had reached the pivotal moment. Everything they had learned, every challenge they had overcome, had led to this. Now they would either save their galaxy or watch it be torn apart. The fate of everything rested on what happened next. The ancient A's hologram flickered as it considered Sarah's words. The tension on the Starseeker's bridge was thick enough to cut with a knife. You believe you can succeed where the creators of the Nexus failed? The eye asked, its tone a mixture of curiosity and doubt. Sarah nodded confidently. We can, because we have something you don't, diversity of thought and the ability to adapt. Without waiting for a response, Sarah turned to her crew. Captain, I need you and Lieutenant Chen to keep the defense systems busy. Dr. Tanaka, work with the Flux to analyze the Nexus's systems. I'm going in to restart the cooling crystals. As the crew sprang into action, Sarah donned a spacesuit enhanced with Flux technology. She stepped into the airlock, her heart pounding. Be careful out there, Cooper. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled over the radio. Sarah took a deep breath and pushed off into the vast chamber of the Nexus. The crystals towered around her like a forest of giant, glowing trees. She propelled herself towards the nearest dark crystal, her mind racing with calculations and theories. As she worked, she could hear the sounds of battle over her radio. The captain and Lieutenant Chen were engaged in a dangerous dance with the Nexus's defenses, buying her time. Sarah. Dr. Tanaka's excited voice came through. The Flux have figured out the crystal's energy frequency. If we can match it, we can jumpstart the whole system, Sarah finished. She quickly adjusted her tools, feeling the flux part of her suit ripple with anticipation. Just then, a bolt of energy from a defense drone nearly hit her. Sarah dodged, her heart in her throat. Hurry, Cooper, the captain urged. We can't hold them off much longer. Sarah reached the main control crystal. It was massive, easily the size of a house, and completely dark. She placed her hands on its smooth surface and closed her eyes, focusing all her energy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a faint glow began to emanate from where her hands touched the crystal. It spread, growing brighter and brighter. Suddenly, the crystal blazed to life. Energy surged through it, spreading to the surrounding crystals like a wave. One by one, they lit up, filling the chamber with brilliant, pulsing light. It's working, Dr. Tanaka shouted excitedly. The Nexus is stabilizing. Sarah opened her eyes to see the chamber transformed. The crystals hummed with power, their energy now flowing smoothly and controlled. As she made her way back to the Starseeker, the attacks suddenly ceased. The hologram of the ancient eye appeared before her, its expression now one of astonishment. Impossible, it said. You've done it. You've saved the Nexus. Back on the bridge, the crew cheered as Sarah removed her helmet. Captain Rodriguez clapped her on the back. Outstanding work, Cooper. The eye's hologram appeared on the bridge. I was wrong about you, it said, its voice softer now. Your species has proven itself worthy. The Nexus is now yours to study and protect. Sarah stepped forward. Not just ours, she said. This is too big for one species. We'll need to work together. Humans, Flux, and any other allies we can find. The AI nodded. A wise decision. Perhaps this is why the creators chose to leave the Nexus in the care of younger races. You still have the capacity to grow, to change, to see things in new ways. As the Starseeker prepared to leave the Nexus, Sarah looked out at the vast structure, now pulsing with stable, controlled energy. They had not only saved their galaxy, but had opened up new possibilities for exploration and cooperation. Captain Rodriguez stood beside her. So what's next for the hero of the galaxy? He asked with a smile. Sarah grinned. Well, Captain, we have a whole universe to explore, new allies to meet, and probably a few more problems to solve along the way. As the Starseeker pulled away from the Nexus, carrying news of their incredible discovery back to Earth, Sarah felt a sense of excitement and purpose she had never known before. They had faced the unknown, overcome impossible odds, and emerged victorious. Humanity had taken its first real steps into the galactic community, and Sarah knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them with ingenuity, teamwork, and the unbreakable human spirit that had brought them this far. The adventure, it seemed, was just beginning.